Hello and welcome to the very first episode of Game Theory, the #1 DraftKings prep show in all of the land. I am your host Monk, aka the Monkmatician, and in this very inaugural episode, we're going to be highlighting all of the scoring from all fighters, all 15 fights for UFC Vegas 44, headlined by Jose Aldo and Rob Font. So without further ado, let's get right into it. First fight of the night. Luis Smolka going. I can't speak. Luis Smolka going against Vince Morales. And I'm not really going to go through all the measurables, all that kind of stuff. You can take a look here, see what that's all about. I'm going to be focusing more on the DraftKings scoring side of things. So in this one, Smolka 8,500, first fight of the night, going against Morales 7,700 as far as salary goes. Smolka is one of the better scoring fighters in the bantamweight division. I mean, look at these rankings here. Raw DraftKings points per minute, 3.66. That's 15th highest in the division. Average per win, 109.63. That's going to make the optimal lineup. And at 8,500, I mean, that is crazy good value. His average value is 8.22. He is a little higher than his average salary, but not by too much. I mean, we're looking pretty good here. Going against Morales, who when he wins only scores 60.9 points. When he loses, his opponents only score 81.24. That is 11th, the 11th lowest number in the division. But we're going against Luis Smolka here. He has he's been finished or has finished people in his last 5 fights, hence the high score per win that we see here, 7th highest in the division. We go down to DraftKings scoring by method. Oh, also, before we do that, Smolka has the second highest ceiling on the entire card. DraftKings scoring by, I mean, when Smolka wins by knockout, he averages 123 points, 5th highest. When he wins by sub, 108. Even when he wins by decision, the 17th highest number in the division, 84.5 points. That is pretty dang good for a decision victory. Morales, when he loses, when he gets knocked out, rather, he gives up 114.27. I mean, I'm picking Smolka by second round KO in this one. So I am thinking a pretty good score for Smolka here. I mean, 87.5% of Smolka's wins have been over 90 points, 62.5 over 100. Half his wins have been over 110 points. That is premium right there. Morales, like I said, doesn't give up a ton of points in his 3 losses, but not sure if he's fought anyone that scores quite as much and at the rate that Smolka does. Average DraftKings points per type and win. When Smolka wins, he averages 33 grappling points, almost 60 points. Oops, I'll show you my cursor here. 60 points in bonus points per win, 33 points in grappling points, and almost 17 points in stand-up. I mean, this guy is pretty prolific when it comes to scoring. When he does lose, or when his opponents lose, wait, hold on. Yeah, when he loses, he gives up a ton of bonus points, ton of grappling points. It's almost the same exact thing here. When Morales loses, he gives up 43 bonus points. Not too many grappling points, but a ton of striking points there. And then I have some basic stats. You know me, I got to bring the stats into it. Wouldn't be a Monkmatician classroom without stats. Take these rankings here with a grain of salt. I just started doing that. There's hardly any calculation in them. It's just an overall idea how good these guys are, strictly based on stats in the. But either way, Smolka has the stats here. He's got the Morales actually has the better strength of schedule in the last 5. You want it to be about 70 to 75, which we are on both sides here. But Morales has an 80% opponent win rate in the last 5. That said, Smolka's whooping some ass in his past 5. 13.1 ass whoop index, good power index, and a perfect chin dex, whereas Morales has been knocked down in his past 5. Here's how those break down for you. I'm not going to really go into it because there are 15 fights on this card. Little graphical analysis for raw DraftKings points per minute. Smolka over his last 5 is trending up. And then Morales pretty much just barely trending down while his opponents trend up. And then I've got some projections here that you can take a look at. Pretty high projections from Smolka. What I say, round 2 finish win, 102 DraftKings points. Pretty good there. Then a visual recap. Smolka has a ton of real estate right here. In fact, let me turn my monitor up. I feel like I'm squinting at this thing. Ton of real estate, ton of green real estate here. Then the aggregate win loss finish rate. Kind of, I'm really just going to talk about the DraftKings points. You guys can take a look at everything else. I did include it just for reference there. Long story short, I'm taking Smolka. I'm taking him in round 2 knockout, and I am putting him in a ton of lineups. Probably at least, 8,500. That's it. 40 to 50% of my lineups, I bet I'm putting him in. Next fight, Alex Morono going against Mickey Gall. I'm picking Morono by unanimous decision, so I'm not expecting either guy to go on the optimal lineup. Morono, 9,500, second highest on the card. He only averages 87.7 DraftKings points per win, 40th best out of 71 welterweight fighters. These rankings, I did just change them. The ranking is here for the division. The middle, or in the middle here in the black column, 71. That's how many welterweights I have in my database. So it's 40 out of 71. I only rank guys that have 3 fights or more in the UFC. So if you do not have 3 fights, it will show up as no ranking. It's just a little bit better of a system. I did recently change that. So I do like these rankings here. They are more accurate than they were in my last video. So that said, let's keep it moving. Morono's opponents, when Morono loses, his opponents, he only gives up 81 points. So no really big scores for Morono in his fights. Mickey Gall, on the other hand, has a decent average value, 8.7 per fight. When he wins, 6 wins in the UFC, over 100, 101 points per win. He gives up 95 points when he loses. So these two things kind of balance each other out. Like I said, I'm not looking, I don't think this one gets finished here. I really don't. So that said, I'm keeping both of these guys down a little bit. When Morono does get the knockout, he scores okay, 29 out of 71. That is 106 though. I mean, so that's going to be optimal pretty much. Scores well in submission wins, scores decent in decision wins as well. Not so much in split decision win. When he gets knocked out, his opponents score huge. Mickey Gall's not going to knock anyone out. In fact, he's never done that. And Morono has never been subbed. So there you go. Mickey Gall's going to have to really, he's going to have to show some really impressive jiu-jitsu to pull off a finish win here. I don't think he's going to get a decision win over Morono. A lot of his time is going to be probably spent on Gall's back, with Morono ground and pounding him. Kind of how I see it. Trying to keep safe while ground and pounding. As far as Morono's scoring, 4 of his 9 wins, he's scored over 100 points. 1 of his 9 wins, he scored over 110. People do not score well against him. Only one guy has scored over 90 and over 100, or over 90, I should say. And that was a huge score. I think that's the one he got knocked out in. Mickey Gall, opponents, 2 out of his 3 losses, his opponents have scored over 90. When Gall wins, 5 of 6 wins over 90, 4 of 6 over 100. So he scores well, but like I said, I don't see Mickey Gall's path to victory here. I mean, that's a huge bonus. But when Gall wins, he averages 80 points in bonus points. So Morono loses, he only gives up 50. Not too many stand-up or grappling points. So we'll kind of keep it moving here. Morono with the much better strength of schedule everywhere. Both guys are 3-2 in their last 5. Morono with the better stats over the last 5. Where'd my stats go? There we go. Especially the striking here. He lands over 5 strikes a minute. Gall eats what? 3.68 a minute. So he's going to get hit quite a bit here. Gall did sub Jordan Williams. His 2 losses were to Mike Perry and Sanchez in his last 5. Sanchez did get the knockout. So, I mean, I'm going to have some Morono in my lineups here. Probably about 25 to 30% Morono, if I had to guess. DraftKings points, he's really even with his opponents, and he is pretty much even keel. Opponents trending down. Both Gall and his opponents trending up, with his opponents outworking Gall. And that one, here are my projections. So whatever you think is going to happen, that's what I think the scores are going to be. And here we go. Little visual recap here. Gall with the much bigger real estate, but Morono winning on the distance striking, I believe. No, not the grappling. Never. Other than that, actually, Gall looks pretty good here. But these are all, numbers in wins. That's what we're looking for, is wins. So if this is a 50-50, I'm choosing Gall for the upside, but I don't think it's 50-50 at all. I'm picking Morono by decision for a pretty, what was his projection by decision? 80 points. Not going to make the optimal. Let's keep it moving. Azamat Murzakanov, I believe, if I can spell. This is a very weird fight. Murzakanov was supposed to fight Felipe Lins at light heavyweight. He's now fighting Jared Vanderaa at heavyweight. I don't know what to do about this fight. Honestly, I have no idea. Jared Vanderaa, I have no DraftKings history for Murzakanov. It's his first fight in the UFC, so I'm not betting it. He's the most expensive. Actually, no, he's not. We don't have any. That's what it was. We don't have any salaries for these two guys quite yet. Vanderaa in his wins only averages 83.12 points, and he's only had one win in the UFC. When he loses, he gives up 105. So this is going to go one of two ways. Azamat is going to win first round knockout, score a ton of points, or Vanderaa is going to push this to a decision, and then who the fuck knows what's going to happen. Nobody's going to score shit. So depending on the salary, I'm going to have a decent piece of Murzakanov here, maybe 25 to 30%, maybe 20. But yeah, I have no stats. Vanderaa never scored over 90. His opponents have scored over 110 in one of the two losses. Gives up tons of bonus points. Strength of schedule is better for Vanderaa, but his strength of victory is trash. He's only beaten Justin Tafa in the UFC, lost to Spivak and Romanov. What's his graph look like? Raw DraftKings points per minute. He's well below his opponents, trending up, but his opponents are also trending way up. Alexander Romanov outstruck him. That guy is a submission artist and outstruck Jared Vanderaa, and it wasn't even close. Here are my projections. Wondering where I get the numbers for Murzakanov. I'm just using the average for the light heavyweight division. That's what I do when I have no data for fighters. I use the average numbers for that division, smush them in with the numbers for their opponent, and then I come up with what I have here. So there we go. We have nothing for Murzakanov except the strength of victory there. And then we have the aggregate career finish rate. So long story short, I'm picking Murzakanov by first round knockout. I am not confident in that. I have no idea what this guy looks like in the cage, but that's what I'm going with. Vanderaa is going to have a huge size advantage, 6 inches, 9-inch reach. But yeah, if Murzakanov can get inside, still going to be a knockout. So that is going to be a big number, but I'm not going to overexpose myself to that too much. Let me move on. Where are we at? 13 minutes. Perfect. Fourth fight of the night. Claudio Puelles going against Chris Gruetzemacher. Lightweight fight here. Let's see. Puelles 8,000. Grits is 8,200. This is the closest matched fight on DraftKings. Puelles scores pretty poorly in wins, just under 83 points per win. He gives up a ton of points when he loses, almost or just over 104. He does outwork his opponents here in the raw DraftKings points per minute. That is just your total DraftKings points per minute with bonus points stripped out. 3.28 to 3.02 positive differential. Average salary in 4 fights, 7,700. Average value is pretty good, 8.6. So he takes his low salary and he works with it pretty well. Pretty low ceiling, but a decent floor. We go over to Chris Grits, 8,200. Like I said, he is getting outworked pretty significantly. Scores better than Puelles, 96 per win, gives up 103.5 per loss. Value is almost a point below Puelles. High ceiling, very low floor. So when Grits gets a knockout, huge number, 125 points. Decent, just over 80 in decision wins, nothing special. Puelles in his decisions, 92 points per decision. That is very good for a decision win rate. 19th out of 82 lightweights in the division. When he gets knocked out, he gives up 104 points there. Chris Grits, when he gets knocked out, 111. When he gets subbed, just under 100. I am picking, where'd I go here? Claudio Puelles, round 2 submission. This is, let's see, the first of, I think, 3 underdog picks that I am picking on this card. So I'm going Puelles by submission. Round right there, giving up 100 points per submission loss. That is okay with me. Puelles has scored over 90 just one time. Never anything higher than that. He's given up 100 in his one and only loss in the UFC. Chris Grits does not score well. Only scored over 90 once out of 3 fights. He has given up 90 in all 3 losses, two 100-point losses and one 110-point loss. So Chris Grits gives up a lot of points when he loses. Most of his 97, almost 98% of Grits' total DraftKings points come from striking. So he doesn't do anything else. He can't defend takedowns very well. Claudio takes people down. 34% of his DraftKings points career have been from takedowns. 28% have been from control time. So he's going to take down Chris Grits. He's going to ground and pound him. He's going to get a submission. Chris has been subbed 3 times in his career. That's what I'm leaning for in this one. Puelles scores the 6th most grappling points per win, 36. I mean, when he loses, he gets beat up on the feet, but he doesn't give up any kind of grappling points whatsoever. Chris Grits, when he loses, gives up just under 20 grappling points, 68 bonus points, so he's out there getting finished. Puelles, not really known as a finisher, does get a finish here and there, but I'm thinking this is a perfect opportunity for him. Here are some stats. As you can imagine, Grits, better striker. Puelles, the much better grappler. Chris's takedown defense only 61. I mean, 3.5 takedowns against per 15 minutes. Claudio averages almost 3.5 takedowns per 15 minutes. This is, perfect. Puelles 51% grappling time. He controls 81% of it. The only issue is the strength of schedule here. That's going Chris Gruetzemacher, and it's not close. But yeah, that's how these guys line up. My big head so you can see all that. DraftKings points trending way up for Puelles. Pretty even here for Grits with his opponents pretty far above and trending up as well. Here are my projections. So like I said, I'm picking round 2 submission, 103 points for Claudio Puelles. Pick whatever you think is going to happen there. Obviously, I use a pretty in-depth formulas to figure these out. They are not gospel, obviously, by any means, but occasionally I do get pretty close. Here is the visual recap. Lots of space for both of these guys. Puelles with the much better win percentage, the grappling points, but Gruetzemacher with the higher DraftKings points per win, average value, strength of victory. But all that is meaningless if he does not win the fight. So keep that in mind. And then aggregate finish rate here. So, like I said, Puelles round 2 knockout, and I do have him possibly on the optimal lineup. Would be nice. I will go over that as well at the end of video. Next fight, Alonzo Menifield, William Knight. 8,700 for Menifield, 7,500 for Knight. Menifield scores well when he wins, 95 points, only gives up 90 when he loses. William Knight scores 95 points when he wins, gives up 111 when he loses. Only 1 loss, so small sample size, but still. Menifield averages 2.64 DraftKings points per minute, raw DraftKings points per minute. Only gives up 2.28. William Knight is getting outscored by over a point per minute. Menifield usually costs about $500 more than Knight, according to the average salary. The average value is right there. Menifield with the much better ceiling, but the lower floor in this one. So neither guy, they score okay, about average for the division, 95 per win. That's nothing to write home about. When Menifield does get a knockout, average for the division, 105 points. 98 in a sub, 73 in a decision. Nothing crazy. 105 points for William Knight as well. They're not giving up too many points when they lose. William Knight did give up 100 and just under 112 points in a decision loss. So keep that in mind. That is interesting. But Menifield only scores 73.8 when he wins by decision. So Menifield can hit that 90 mark pretty easily, but has a hard time getting over 100. Gives up 90 in half of his wins or half of his losses. Knight had one good fight and one not so good fight. In his loss, he gave up a ton of points, as we said. Let's see here. When Menifield wins, he gets an average of 75 bonus points. That is huge. Knight only giving up 30 per fight. So both these guys scoring pretty decent when they win. Like we said, about halfway, about average in the division, I should say. And this is what I mean. I do not think Alonzo Menifield is the 8th best fighter in the light heavyweight division, but here we are looking at these numbers. So that's what I meant by don't take them so seriously, just to give me an idea of who versus what and blah, blah, blah. Lay off. 3-2 is Menifield in his past 5. William Knight is 4-1. Knight with the better strength of schedule by a few points as well, especially the strength of defeat, 88 compared to 62. That tells me Menifield has lost to 2 scrubs like Oven St. Preux and Devin Clark. I didn't mean to say scrubs, but you know what I mean. And then Da Un Jung is William Knight's loss. And that dude, he listens to a lot of TLC. He's no scrub. Next one, raw DraftKings points going way up for Menifield per minute and way up for Knight as well. So both guys improving. Menifield's opponents slowly trending down while Knight's opponents are keeping up with him. Here are my projections. I am picking Menifield by unanimous decision, 2 rounds to 1, 29-28. So I don't think this guy, I don't think this guy Menifield, I don't think he's going to be on the optimal lineup. If he does score a knockout, he could, get over 100 points, but he does tend to slow down pretty substantially after 1.5, as we did see in several fights, most notably, or most recently, the Ed Herman fight. William Knight, I think he just beat Claudio, or Charant fought Claudio. Fabio Charant, and he's beaten Alexis Kamer as well, so that last one was a first-round knockout. I doubt that's going to happen to Menifield. A lot of real estate here for Menifield, with Knight taking the grappling points per win and the average value just barely. And then the aggregate finishing percentages here, decently high numbers as far as finishes and wins, but it's the finishes and losses. These guys do not get finished a lot. So I'm thinking decision, 2nd round, Menifield. Next fight, Cheyenne Vlismas going against Mallory Martin. There's some crazy numbers here. 9,000 for Vlismas. That's way too high. And Mallory Martin, 7,200. Probably a little bit low. Vlismas only 1 win, 135 points, though. She had a crazy first round submission, I believe. And where she did get outscored 4.72 points per minute to 3.33. Actually, no, that's 2 fights. Never mind. I shouldn't say that. It is 2 fights. She does get outscored by almost a point and a half, raw DraftKings, per minute. That is crazy. Your average value is decent though, 9.35, because she had a crazy high scoring fight last time. She has NRs next to her. That means no rank because she only has 2 fights. Like I said, she is not ranked until she hits that 3rd fight. Where Mallory Martin, we have 3 here. She gets killed. She gets almost 5 points scored on her per minute. Raw DraftKings points per minute. Minus 2.45 differential. When she loses, she gives up 101. When she wins, she scores 91. I believe she has 3 fights in the UFC. They've all ended by sub. 2 sub losses, 1 sub win. I think she subs Vlismas here. I think Cheyenne is coming in a little hot right here. Maybe having some issues off the court, as they say, but I don't really pay much attention to that. She did just have that name change. Maybe she feels free as a bird now, so who knows? She could come out really swinging for the fences, and get a good finish here over Martin. I'm taking a risk here. I like Martin at this price range. I like her compared to a lot of other people at this price range. I'm going 1st round sub, Mallory Martin. I think she gets it done here. I think she makes the optimal lineup with this performance. Vlismas gives up over 100 in her loss, scores over 110 in her win. Mallory does not generally score too well, which is worrisome. But like I said, if Cheyenne makes a mistake, if she's just a little too amped coming in, she slips up, makes a mistake, that's it. Mallory Martin's got the sub, and I'll be a very happy camper going in to the next fight. But yeah, I mean, Cheyenne, there's not even a number here because her number, it's literally off the charts. It's above the chart somewhere, 115 points per win. When Martin wins, only 1 win, but still she got 70 points, gives up on the average 80. So if you're fighting Mallory Martin, you're either getting scored on or you're scoring a ton of points. So I'm picking Martin in this one. It is what it is. But yeah, she got subbed by Polyana Viana. Yikes. She subbed Hannah Cyphers, and she got subbed in her UFC debut by Virna Jandiroba. Yeah, that's what I'm going with. I like Martin here. If she does not get the first or second round submission, I'm going to look pretty stupid, but that's all right. I can take a gamble on that 7,200. Next fight, Jake Matthews. I think I spelled it right. The Celtic Kid going against Jeremiah Wells. Only one fight for Wells. Jake Matthews, 15 UFC fights, 9,100 salary going against 7,100 salary. Jake Matthews scores, 3 raw DraftKings points per minute, 29th out of 71 in the division. Only gives up just under 2 points a minute, 12th out of 71. That's over a point per minute differential. Averages 91 points in wins, gives up 88 in a loss. Average value 7.63. Could be a little higher. Jeremiah Wells, only one fight. He did score 96 points in that fight. And it went, into the second round, just barely. Oh, that is a pretty low score for a second round knockout. 96 right there. When Jake Matthews gets a knockout, 7th highest number in the division, 116.7. When he gets a sub, 94. When he gets a decision, 83. So that is the 17th best decision score in the division. Split decision, it's even 81, 10th highest in the division. So when he gets knocked out, which has only happened once, 111 points. When he gets subbed, only 87 points. That's the second best number in the division right there. He gets a split decision, loss, 67. So opponents do not generally score very well against him. He's scored over 90 in 5 fights, over 103 fights, over 110 in 2 fights. So not bad. He gives up quite a few points though. 40% of his losses, so that's 2 losses over 100. One of those losses over 110. We already know Jeremiah Wells only one fight, 96 points. Wells scoring 70 bonus points there. Matthews averages 47. It's not terrible. 43rd out of 71 in the division. His opponents, when Matthews loses, usually average 60 DraftKings bonus points per loss. 39th in the division. Matthews only gives up the 6th lowest striking points per loss in the division. Let's see here. Here's some overall stats. Matthews with some pretty good numbers here. Very good striking defense, average offense, decent grappling time, controls a decent amount of that grappling time. But Jeremiah Wells, no slouch when it comes to grappling. But the strength of victory is, huge gap between there. Except for that strength of victory is very close, but everywhere else it's clearly Jake Matthews, and almost by 20 points. Jeremiah Wells has a terrible strength of schedule here. Matthews losing to Brady and Tony Rocco. Before that, trending up with his DraftKings points per minute. Here are the projections. I've got Matthews by unanimous decision, 29-28, 2 rounds to 1, 79 points. That does not do it for me. Now, Wells only one fight. That's why he's got so much real estate here. But some decent real estate for Jake Matthews. And then the career finishing percentages, pretty high for both of these guys. I am completely ignoring that though, and going with a decision. Manel Kape going against Zhalgas Zhumagulov. Let's keep it moving. Half an hour. Flyweight fight. 9,400 for Kape, 6,800 for Zhumagulov. I'm going to save us a lot of time here. Fade this fight. Fade it. Here's why. Manel Kape, when he loses, his opponents score 65.8 points. That is the 3rd lowest number in the flyweight division. Very good for Kape. Very poor for anyone that picked Kape's opponent. We go over to Zhalgas and his 2 losses. 65.92. These guys do not give up points. They do not get finished. They don't give up points. So I'm fading this fight completely. If I have to pick, I guess I'm picking Kape with more exposure over Zhalgas just because of this. In his 1 win, he did score 107 points compared to 94 for Zhalgas. But we don't have a lot of data here, only 3 fights between them, but that's why I'm saying fade this fight. Their opponents do not score well against them. Usually, for lack of a better term, a boring 15-minute fight when they lose. Why you have this exciting column here, and then when they lose, very, very boring numbers, almost identical numbers actually. So I don't think anyone's getting a finish in this fight. I think these guys are very evenly matched. Zalgas has the much better strength of schedule, the much better striking numbers. Kape has the better takedown defense and the better control time number. But either way, nothing to write home about. Both guys trending way up as far as RDKP per minute. Then here are my projections as far as scoring goes. I've got Kape winning by split decision. Pretty much even as an outcome as you could have. 71 points, 69. Yeah, fade. Fade, 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 fade. I mean, look at this graph. Look at this graph. Visual recap. These are almost virtually identical here. This weird looking fish character that I have. I mean, these guys are very evenly matched. Somebody, Maynard or Shelby's, still continue to do a great job with the matchmaking. Finishes in wins, very high. Finishes in losses, very low. I'm picking Kape by split decision. Nobody's making the optimal lineup on this one. Next fight, Maki Pitolo going against Dusko Todorovic. 7,600 for Pitolo, 8,600 for Todorovic. I am picking Todorovic. Round 2 knockout. Pitolo is 1-4. 1-4. And he's getting another fight in the UFC. Dusko is 1-2, but still 1-4. Pitolo, when he wins, it is one win over 100. When he loses, opponents only score 83. Dusko, 119 in his one win. Opponents score just under 100 when he loses. Pitolo with the better average value, lower ceiling, and higher floor. We don't have a lot to look at with these guys as far as win data, which is generally what I focus on this show, because that's how you win DraftKings, is you focus on what you think is going to happen when a fighter wins. But when Pitolo loses by sub, 84 points up for his opponent, 82 points in his decisions. I mean, nothing really to write home about here. Dusko had a huge TKO. I forget who it's over. We'll find out momentarily. That's why you get this 120 number, and that was in the, I guess, first round. I don't know. But yeah, Pitolo giving up 90 only twice, giving up 100 only once. Dusko giving up 110 once, scoring 110 in his fight. I mean, so we've got some huge bonus numbers here, some pretty big grappling numbers for both guys. But yeah, let's see, who was it? Todorovic has lost to Gregory Rodriguez, and Bunaheli Soriano beat Daquan Townsend second round TKO. So that is a very high score for a second round TKO. I mean, he landed 85 strikes, 10.3 per minute. My God. If he can tee off on Pitolo like that, I'm putting Dusko in 50% of my lineups at 8,600. That is crazy. Raw DraftKings points per minute trending up, while his opponents also trend up even higher, but he did fight Soriano while Soriano was undefeated. And then Pitolo, pretty even keel, trending up, opponents trending down in scoring. Yeah, interesting. Here are the projections, very close. Like I said, I'm picking Dusko by second round knockout. Pitolo has been knocked out twice in his career. Most recently, I guess he hasn't been knocked out recently. He's due, huh? Todorovic, I mean, he's got better number pretty much everywhere in these win categories here. Dominating Pitolo's little graph here. And then the finish percentages. Almost, 100% in the UFC, 82% outside, or total in their career. Pretty high losing finishes in losses percentage. So that's why I'm going finish here. I don't see Maki getting it done. I would never bet a guy that's 1-4 in the UFC to beat a guy that's never mind. But yeah, I'm picking Todorovic, second round. Brian Barberena, this is another fight, Barberena, that we do not have salaries yet. I'm recording this at 9 a.m. on Wednesday morning, Central Time in the United States, and we do not have salaries for 2 fights, 4 fighters. Barberena, so yeah, I don't know. And I don't know anything about Darian Weeks. Barberena was supposed to fight Matt Brown. Matt Brown got COVID. I'm pretty sure he's doing a lot better now, or so his Instagram or his Twitter says, and I hope that is the case. But in the meantime, we have Barberena taking on newcomer Darian Weeks. He has 5 fights in the UFC. His strength of schedule is dog shit. We'll get to that. Barberena scores pretty well, almost 100 points in his wins. When he loses, he gives up a ton of points. Over 100. 8.6 average value, 3.57 raw DraftKings points per minute. gets outscored by almost 0.2 points, has a decent ceiling and a good floor. Let's see here. Barberena scores a knockout, 108 points, 99 points in a sub, and 87 in a decision. So that is a pretty good number for a decision win. When he gets knocked out, 111 points, not great. 93 when he loses by decision. That is a high number. 108 when he loses by split decision. Wow. Barberena can hit 90 pretty easily. Doesn't hit 100 or 110 very easily. Opponents hit 90, hit 100, and have hit 110. So he gives up a lot of points and just scores decently. Averages just under 60 bonus points per win. 35. The opponents average 35 when Barberena loses. And yeah, run-of-the-mill welterweight. Here's the strength of schedule. I have no stats for Darian Weeks, obviously. No UFC fights. Here's the strength of schedule in the last 5. Not very good for Barberena. 75 is his best number. 51, 53, 51 for Darian Weeks. He's fighting absolutely nobody. I don't know anything about this guy. I've watched no tape. Barberena should smash him. I think this is an easy unanimous decision. 29-28. Darian Weeks might take a round, but I don't know. Barberena is trending down as far as raw DraftKings points per minute. I've got him winning this fight by decision. 73 points, nothing crazy. There's the chart with nothing for Weeks to compare it to. And then the average or the aggregate finish rate. Not too many finishes and losses. Decent amount in wins. So like I said, I've got Barberena by split decision or unanimous decision. I mean, nobody making the optimal lineup here. Brendan Allen, we got 5 fights left, guys. We're at 36 minutes. This is amazing. Brendan Allen, 9,600, the most expensive fighter on the card, going against Chris Action Man Curtis, 6,600, the cheapest fighter on the card. He did most recently beat Philip Hawes, like 4 or 5 weeks ago, something like that. Knocked him out, I believe, in the second round, maybe first round, I don't know. Either way, Allen scores 3.54 RDKP per minute, going up, gives up 3.29 per minute, positive differential. His average value in 6 fights is 10.35. That is the 3rd highest average value out of 75 middleweights. This guy scores very well. However, his average salary is only $8,000. We are up by 1,500 more than that at this point. That is a crazy high jump. I don't know. I don't think he's going to be pulling in anything to make that worth it. He scores 96.5 points per win. He gives up in his one loss 127.8 points. That is a huge number. I thought this was off, but it was not. Sorry about that. Chris Curtis, in his one fight in the UFC, 420 raw DraftKings points per minute. Gives up 4.36. Had a huge value because that's, his salary was 6,800. He's even less here. I've got Brendan Allen. I'm going against the grain. I've got Brendan Allen by decision here. I think this one goes the distance. Brendan Allen, when he gets a knockout, 109 points. When he gets a sub, 106 points. That is 15th and 10th best, respectively, in the division out of 75 fighters. Very, very good when Allen gets a finish. It's pretty much guaranteed he's going to be on the optimal lineup unless he costs $9,600, you guys. That's the only problem here. I would be all over Brendan Allen for the most part. He probably will win inside the distance. I'm kind of going out on a limb and saying it's going to go to decision. But if he doesn't finish here, there's no way he's going to score very well at all. This guy finishes. I lost my train of thought there for a second. Sorry, I was staring at a different stat. This guy finishes very high, 109, 106 when he finishes. But if he doesn't, I'm going to have a hard time justifying that $9,600 price tag. There's no way. There's no way. He's going to have like an 8 or 9 value. I'm going to have him very low owned. 10, 15%, maybe. Maybe. Not less than 10. But not more than 17, 20. Even that's really high. I have a hard time paying for these top shelf guys unless I think they're really going to do something. But I don't know enough about Chris Curtis, so I've got to put Brendan Allen in some of my lineups. But I don't know enough about Chris Curtis to say, oh, Allen's going to knock him the F out. I don't know that. Allen, very good score, over 90 and 80% of his wins, over 160%. His one loss, his opponents scored off the charts, 128 points, I believe we said. Yeah, first round loss for Brendan Allen in that fight. When Brendan Allen wins, he averages 62 bonus points per fight, per win. When he loses, 70 points for his opponent there. Yeah, I mean, these numbers, like I said, aren't gospel, but Brendan Allen's not doing anything crazy. He's got good striking accuracy. Striking defense is nothing special. Strikes landed per minute, decent. Top 20% in the league, or in the division. Strikes landed against, nothing. He has a negative striking differential, negative 0.02. His takedown accuracy, very good actually, 57%. Only lands 1 per 15 minutes. His takedown defense is atrocious, 37%. His total grappling time, less than 30%. He only controls 52% of that. His grappling time ratio is almost 1-to-1. So he's not doing anything crazy. But if he does get that finish, he scores well. His strength of schedule is one of the highest on the card. Over 80 in every category almost. Chris Curtis, 65. Can't even compare. Allen with a loss over Sean Strickland, or under 2. A loss to Sean Strickland. I mean, but he's fighting good guys with the exception of Tom Breeze and some would say Carl Roberson. Fighting decent guys. Trending down in scoring. This is what I mean. Trending down in scoring, but his projections still pretty damn high. So, like I said, maybe I didn't. I've got Brendan Allen by unanimous decision, 3 rounds to none, 94.34 points. I'm gonna have him, like I said, 10 to 15% of my lineups. Obviously, I'm not gonna fade him completely, but I'm not paying 9,600 for a possible decision. 9,600 for 104 points, 105 points. A little better, but I'm going to need 110, 120. You're costing me that much. I just don't know. I just don't know if we can do that, Brendan Allen. So we'll have to see. I hope this isn't flickering on the live video. Something's happening to my monitor, and I am not a fan. All right, on to one of my favorite fights of the night, Jimmy Crute, 9,200 going against Jamal Hill, 7,000. Crute is one of the best scorers in the light heavyweight division, one of the best scorers on this card. I mean, look at these numbers. DraftKings points per fight, 82. That's 5th highest. Win or loss, 82 points. That's crazy. Jimmy Crute, 5.64 raw DraftKings points per minute. That is the highest in the entire division. Only gives up 2.54. That is a differential of 3.09 per minute. Crazy high. Average value of 9.62, 6th best in the division. Excuse me there. DraftKings points per win, 112.76. Ceiling is 130. I mean, this guy scores. That's what this guy does. 112 when he gets a knockout, 113 with a sub. I mean, it's ridiculous. And let's see what Jamal Hill gives up. When Jamal Hill loses, only 1 fight, but still, he gave up 103 points to Paul Craig. Paul Craig has, vastly improved over his past few fights, but would Jimmy Crute smash Paul Craig? I think so. Jamal Hill, positive differential, 3.51 points per minute to 2.79. Average value, only 5.66. That is poor. 97.5 points in a knockout win. Very poor. Gives up 103 when he gets knocked out. Jimmy Crute scores, over 90, 3 out of 4 fights. Over 100, 3 out of 4 fights. Over 110, 2 out of 4 fights. Damn good numbers. Has given up a lot of points when he loses. I don't think he's losing to Jamal Hill here. But if he does, you got to have parts of Hill in. You got to have yourself exposed to parts of Hill in this one. How does Crute score? Mostly by takedowns. Look at this. 33.5% of all DraftKings points scored from Jimmy Crute have come from takedowns. 16 from knockdowns. 14 from control time. So if you didn't know, Jimmy Crute has some great ground game. Fantastic. When he wins, he averages 78, almost 79 bonus points. When he loses, he gives up a lot. When Jamal Hill loses, he gives up a ton of bonus points there. Look at these stats. I mean, like I said, don't pay much attention to these, but look how big. I mean, it's not even close. You can't even compare. This is a terrible matchup for Jamal Hill. I will be shocked if Jamal Hill wins this fight. Shocked. If this goes to decision, I will be shocked. Jimmy Crute, doesn't land a ton compared to Hill, who lands the most in the light heavyweight division, 6.7 per minute. Jimmy Crute only gets hit with 1.79. That is the second best defense going against the number one offense as far as striking goes. So we're going to see what happens. Here's where it gets interesting. The accuracy, the takedowns per 15 minutes, the defense, the this, the that, the grappling time control. Top 10 numbers everywhere. Top numbers across the board for the most part. And Jamal Hill does not have an answer for that ground game. Strength of schedule is going to go to Jimmy Crute here. Smith and Murzakanov are his losses. Lord Michael Bukauskas and Sam Alvey. Then Jamal Hill with that loss to Paul Craig. I don't know. I just think Jimmy Crute's going to get this to the ground whenever he wants to, and he's going to manhandle Jamal Hill. Hill does have the better knockout prop in this one, but I think Crute just gets him to the ground. He probably submits him, but there's a chance that he just ground and pounds him if he gets him in a bad position as well. Ground and pound finish. Who knows what Jamal Hill's arm looks like after it was broken or separated, I guess, in the last one. I'm sure it's fully healed, but is that going to be a weak spot on this one? Who knows? But Crute is going to have to get inside. He's got a 5-inch reach disadvantage, a 2-inch height disadvantage. He's going to have to get inside. I think he will. I am going round 2 TKO for Jimmy Crute, 112, almost 113 points. I mean, look at this. Real estate for Crute right here is crazy. Hill does have the distance striking points per win. Other than that, he's getting dominated everywhere. Finish rates, very, very high. Very, very high indeed. So I'm going Crute, like I said, optimal lineup for this one. Play Guida. Going against Leonardo Santos, 7,400 for Guida, 8,800 for Santos. That is a lot of money, but let's find out why. Clay Guida outscoring his opponents 1.38 raw DraftKings points per minute differential. That is huge. Only scores 94.8 per win. Opponents only score 84 against him when he loses. So average value of about 8, a little higher than that. So not too much going on here. Same thing with this one. This fight is probably going to be a fade for me. Well, I'm actually picking Santos by first round arm triangle. So I'm not going to say it's a fade. If this goes outside of the first round, I'm going to wish I faded Santos here. He does not score well. 83 points in wins. Gives up only 90 when he loses. If this is a decision, I'm not going to be very happy with that. I'm definitely leaning Santos, but still, when he wins by sub, he doesn't even score that well. 86 points when he wins by sub, 111 when he wins by KO. Hopefully he'll get Clay Guida sneaking in with his head in. We get ourselves a little arm triangle there. Guida does give up over 100 points in submission losses, and he's been subbed 10 times. So there you go. Does give up a ton of points in subs. Let's see. 20% of the time, Guida's opponents score over 100 when he loses. He has given up 110. Santos has never even given up 90. Scores over 100 28.5% of the time, and he has hit that 110 mark before. In fact, his average bonus points just under 60. Pretty good there. And Guida gives up 53, almost 54 points, bonus points in losses. So pretty much numbers line up there pretty much well. Let's see here. Santos stats could go either way. I mean, the ground game, this one is deceptive because Santos can be on his back all day. He is a submission specialist. He wants to be there. And if Clay Guida is confident, we'll say, enough to take Santos down, Santos will gladly accept that position. So Santos with the much, much, much better strength of schedule all the way around. Clay Guida has a 53 strength of victory in his last 5, beating guys like BJ Penn and Michael Johnson. Here are the raw DraftKings points. Trending down is Clay Guida. Trending down is Santos as well. But Santos not a very prolific scorer unless he's getting that knockout finish, as we said. But I'm going out on a limb here. I'm picking Santos first round arm triangle. And even then, that projection gives me not even 100 points. So do I think he's going to make the optimal lineup? What was his salary? 8,800. That is pretty high for me for Santos. I'm probably going to have him 15 to 20% exposure. We got a lot more real estate for Santos here as far as that goes. And then the finishes, like I said, the longer this fight goes, the more, the less they're going to score, and the more I lean towards Guida. But I don't think Guida is really... Oh, their combined age at the time of this fight is going to be almost 82 years old. Like 3 months shy of 82 years old. Co-main event of the evening, and then we'll finish up here. Brad Riddell going against Rafael Fiziev. Lightweight fight, Brad Riddell, 7,900. Fiziev, 8,300. I'm fading the shit out of this fight. This is going to be an amazing fight to watch, and I'm going to be able to enjoy it completely because it's probably going to go to decision, and I'm going to have zero exposure to either one of these guys, probably. Less than 10% on both of these guys. When Riddell wins in 4 fights, 80 points. When Fiziev wins in 4 fights, 80 points. When he loses, he only gave up 90. Average value is 7.9 for Fiziev, 9.63 for Riddell. But I'm going to have to look at that. That seems high for someone that doesn't score very well. I feel like that's not right. Either way, the 80.16 is right, and it is low. Only 84 points when he wins by decision. 70 when he wins by split decision. I mean, Fiziev has scored a knockout, 108 points there. But the rest balances out when it goes to decision, 70 points or less in that one. Riddell only touched 90 once. Fiziev has touched 100 once, and that was it. They don't give up shit for points either, for the most part. I mean, Fiziev, when he got knocked out, it was in the first round. So that's kind of fluky, maybe. But, yeah. Riddell is a decision. Both these guys seem like decision machines. It's going to be a good fight to watch, but pretty even striking numbers. I don't really expect this to go to the ground too much. Strength of schedule does go to Fiziev in every aspect. Last 5 fights kind of goes to Fiziev as well, with the exception of the striking per minute differential. And then Riddell, unanimous decision wins over Dober, Da Silva, and Malarkey, split over Mustaev. And in fact, Fiziev got TKO'd by Mustaev in his UFC debut. First round knockout loss there. Since then, he's recovered nicely with wins over Alex White, Diakese, KO over Moicano, and then decision over Bobby Green, where he almost death-gassed in the 3rd round. Extremely close. In fact, the ass whip index would indicate that he did lose that fight. But that is not the case because we have judges. Here we go. Brad Riddell trending up as far as points, and Fiziev trending down. So we'll maybe meet in the middle here. I am picking Brad Riddell by unanimous decision, 2 rounds to 1, 29-28, giving me just under 77 DraftKings points. That's not good enough to do much of anything. So, like I said, fading this one. I don't think either of these guys are going to get a finish over the other. If they do, it's going to be something crazy that probably has less than 10% chance of happening. So I'm going to go with the 90% chance of the decision and just fade both of these guys. Oh, probably 5 to 10%, if that. I might have a skosh more on Riddell than Fiziev if you really want to know. 10-7, something like that, but we'll see. Real estate, it's pretty interesting shape here for Riddell. No finish wins, so that's a huge chunk of his pie taken out there. And then the finishes, not too many. When they've lost, which is once in the UFC, but in their career, 100% as well. Losing by way of finish. So, like I said, Brad Riddell fading both of these guys, and it's not really too much of a disappointment because I'll still enjoy the fight. Main event of the evening, Rob Font going against Jose Aldo. Rob Font is a must play. Please play Rob Font. I'm seriously going to have him in like 85% of my lineups. $8,400 is all he costs. This is a 5-round fight with a guy that scores 3.47 raw DraftKings points per minute, and now he's got 15 minutes to do that. He averages 107.5 DraftKings points per win. That is the 9th highest number at bantamweight. When he loses, he only gives up 85 points. He's got an average value of over 10. Over 10. Now check this out. Jose Aldo. Do not play Jose Aldo. Fade him completely. 0%. I will have 0% Jose Aldo. Sorry, I said Jose. I'm just in the moment here. 0% Jose Aldo. He only scores 83.5 points per win. That's 12 wins, 83 points. When he loses, though, he gives up 107.5 points. That is a 6-fight sample size. 107. Look how well these numbers match up right here. How well these numbers match up right here. Huh. And this is a 5-round fight, baby. I mean, Rob Font, 121 seal. Oof. He scores 113 with the KO win. 113 with the sub win. 95.5 on decision wins. That is the 7th best number in the bantamweight division out of 78 fighters, man. Jose Aldo, when he gets knocked out, he gives up 125.92 points. Gives up 82 in decisions. When he knocks people out, he only scores 96 points. Fade Jose Aldo, play Rob Font. Look at this. Rob Font wins over 90 points, 88%. Wins over 100 points, 77%. Wins over 110 points, 55.5%. These are top 10 numbers, people. Jose Aldo, opponent. When opponents win, 66%. 4 fights out of 6, over 90. 4 fights out of 6, over 100. And 3 fights out of 6, over 110. Play Rob Font. Fade Jose Aldo. Please. I mean, look at this. Rob Font outscoring Jose Aldo everywhere. Everywhere. I like Jose Aldo. I think he's one of the best fighters to ever do it, especially at the weight class. I mean, but come on, man. Jose Aldo has a fantastic strength of schedule, though. Fantastic. Rob Font's only a couple of points off from that. Last 5, I mean, this is going to be a striking battle, I think. I don't know, man. I think Font dominates him here. I've got Font 5th round KO. 5th round KO. That's what I'm going with. Very similar to Peter Yan. Very, very similar. I mean, in that Peter Yan fight, Peter Yan scored 114 raw DraftKings points. That's points without bonus points. 114.1 DraftKings points in the Aldo fight before you account for the whatever it is 40 points extra he gets for the knockout in the 5th round. That is insane. Insane. Rob Font never had a belt. Can you compare him to Peter Yan? No. Okay, whatever, fine. Rob Font throws maybe more volume than Peter Yan for the most part. It's pretty close, at least. Pretty close. Anyways, Rob Font trending way up on points. Jose Aldo trending up as well. Opponents trending down. Here are my projections. I'm going round 5 finish win for the 113.99 points for Rob Font. Look at our graph here. Rob Font dominating everywhere. Jose Aldo. Then the aggregate finish win-loss percentages there. Guys, we are at an... Oh, yeah, one more thing. Fade Jose Aldo. Guys, we're at the end. Just under an hour. I want to show you one more thing. Here are my picks. That's not what I wanted to show you, but here they are. Blah, blah, blah. Oops. Here's my new thing that I'm starting. This is what I call the Holy Grail, the DraftKings cheat sheet. This is pretty much everything we talked about in graph form. I will be posting this on Twitter later, but thought maybe if you got this far, maybe I should put this at the beginning. I don't know. But if you want, go ahead, take a little screenshot or something. Here, I'll even scroll down so you can see my little info button. Got a 2 cores here, 3-man cores with their prices. Fades, Jose Aldo, only 83.6 points per win. Font's opponents average only 85 points per loss. Fading, Vince Morales, lowest raw DraftKings points per minute on the card, 1.92 per minute, scores only 61 points per win. Fading, Zhumagulov Kape, already talked about that. Fading, Jake Matthews, only 83.71 DraftKings points in decision wins. Wells is a Gracie, both guys are Gracie fighters, but Wells is a Gracie fighter, so I'm not expecting a submission win from Matthews, expecting a decision, and I don't expect him to make optimal. Now, lastly, before I let you go, here is my example of an optimal. Jimmy Crute, Dusko, Smolka, Font, Puelles, and Martin. 49,900. 642 points, you guys. That is a huge number. This is the one. This is the one right here. I'm going to have this lineup. I'm going to have several variations of this lineup with a couple of names taken out here and there. I'm going to smash this week. Smash. I hope you do too. So I did just want to show you that. I will be posting that on Twitter later. But you guys, that has been the entire DraftKings breakdown. We did it together. Very first inaugural game theory show, DraftKings prep show. We did it. You have all your information. You are ready to go. We just need two more fights worth of salaries. Did I say that right? 2 more fights worth of salaries from DraftKings. We're waiting on you, DraftKings. Ball's in your court. Okay? Give us the goddamn salaries. So yeah, I'll probably post a couple lineups here later this week. I'll probably be posting a few other DraftKings stats as well. I will be posting the Holy Grail here coming up. And you guys, thanks for hanging in there. I did post Computer Monk's bets for this week as well. Go ahead and take a look at that on my Twitter. And thanks for sticking around. Have a good week. Enjoy the fights. Let me know what you think your best lineup is. And text it to me. Do not text me if you have my number. Don't do that. Send me a tweet. A little tweet. Send me a goddamn tweet. Let me know what some lineups are. Let me know how you're feeling about this card. And once again, I really appreciate it. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, and we'll see you next time. See you guys.